What is going on, everybody? Shane Larson here from the Game Time Guru podcast. Excited to talk with you guys a little bit about my favorite sport, one of my favorite sports, I should say, and that's mixed martial arts, specifically in the UFC. We had UFC 254 last night. We're going to break it down for you guys today. And if you guys happen to tune in, whether it's a replay or not, just chime in. We want to have some interaction with the fans. I'm doing this for the fans, for those who want to talk about this stuff, and really just have a good overall discussion. So I'm going to be going live on YouTube as well as on Twitter. So if you happen to catch it, chime in, leave a comment. If you're watching the replay, same thing. Leave a comment. We'll interact with the fans. Go follow me on any one of those platforms, Twitter or YouTube. We're happy to discuss things with you guys. Now, listen, we want to take a second to just kind of take a breath, right? That's why I didn't do it immediately after the fights, because we just had to really take a break and breathe for a moment. Because let's be real, UFC 254 was unbelievable. Big time props to the fighters. Big time props to big time props to the main event. You had Habib and Gaethje, and we'll get to that in just a second. But man, it was just an overall amazing event. Just unbelievable event. Just I was blown away. The thing is, let's see here. I'm gonna put this up here. Make sure it doesn't scroll across the bottom. We got to talk about the timing of the fights over at UFC 254. Obviously, it was kind of one of those days that, I was kind of bummed because it was one of the biggest cards, if not the biggest card of the year for the overall UFC promotion. And they do it at 2 o'clock Eastern our time. Now, I know that with Masvidal and Usman, and when they started going over to Abu Dhabi, everybody was kind of a little bit thrown off when they found out that those fighters were fighting in the middle of the night, early morning over in Abu Dhabi, so that they could accommodate for the schedules here in the United States and whatnot. So I understand the point of changing the time. It just seems super odd because you had college football going on. You're competing with college football on a Saturday. And for a lot of people, college football was big yesterday because the Big Ten, the Mountain West, they opened up their seasons finally. So you're starting to get more and more of the full, real college football field because you got more conferences playing. It was a little strange watching fights in the middle of the day, trying to watch my Ohio State Buckeyes play at the exact same time. But I was pretty impressed. And according to the numbers, they're still pending, right? So the numbers are still pending for the overall what do you call it? The gate numbers and everything. That's what Dana was saying. The numbers are still pending. And they were trending to be able to be one of the biggest, pay-per-view buys of the year. So it doesn't seem like it affected them from the number standpoint. Let's take a look, though, before we get into the breakdown of the actual fights themselves. I was checking this out on sporttex.com. And here's the number. It's crazy because, Habib made $3 million guaranteed payout, but he ended up making $3.09 million last night with the win. Gaethje coming in with $630,000 was the salary after the loss. Whitaker took home $415,000. That's after he got a bonus of $15,000 from his promotion. Ankalaev, $100,000 is what he took home. It's kind of crazy though. Some of these guys, look at this. For example, the fact that Robert Whitaker is taking $415,000 home when the pay-per-view, it's one of the biggest cards. It's just so much different, the UFC promotions compared to that of boxing, for example. But yeah, you got Habib taking home $3.09 million. The next one in line was Gaethje with $600,000. It just seems a little strange to me how different they are in regards to their numbers. However, I do understand, certain people draw bigger numbers than others. Habib's going to pull in a lot of people to come watch those fights, right? Especially from Russia. So good for them, making some big time cash flow. But we got to talk a little bit about the actual event itself. Man, the main card was unbelievable. It was I was watching it. I'm like, dude, did I just get my money's worth here or did I not? Because everything was going so fast. I want to start off with the fight between Ankalaev and Kutalaba because Ion was coming in there a little bit pissed off. If you guys remember in their first matchup, he was trying to play possum with the guy, And the ref ended up stopping the fight. It was stupid fight, like stupid stop from the ref. Referees need to like be held accountable. It was really, really bad stoppage. I understand what he was seeing, but like, come on. But he got his second chance. And with that second chance, he didn't do anything with it. He came in there and he was getting popped. I thought Ankalaev was very, very precise with his striking. At the end, when he threw his straight left hand, I believe, down the barrel to drop Ion on the ground, it was because Ion was trying to do a back fist, and he opened himself wide open because he couldn't hit anything. He wasn't hitting very well, and so he throws and then tries to do a little back fist. He opened himself and he didn't cover fast enough. And I just thought Ankalaev's was he was just so precise with his punching, so precise. So props to him for what he was able to accomplish there and dropping him and finishing him and saying, hey, like you wanted the rematch, you wanted this second one. There's no questions now. We've got it taken care of. He finishes him, and I thought that was fantastic. Lauren Murphy with the the submission in round 2. I thought that was a great matchup too. It was just quick because like Ankalaev's was in the first round, finished the fight. For one round. Okay. Then you have to go through all the promotional discussions and stuff to get the next fight up because you got dead air. You got to cut, make sure you have something to talk about before the next fight. I thought Lauren Murphy, and here's the deal, man, unless it's a big time fight, a lot of these fights with the women, we're trying to get their names known, but we don't really know a ton about them all. Right. So I thought Murphy did a great job in that fight. I was pretty impressed with it. Granted, in the women's side of the sport, you've got like tiers, and it's like the top tier dogs in each weight class and everyone else below is not even close to their level. So it's hard for me to get excited for Murphy, even though I think it was a great victory, great submission. Hard for me to get excited for her because I just don't think she's at the same level as like the top dogs. And that's just the reality of it. As they get more and more women into the sport, better training for them, you're going to see that continuously improve. It's already improved since the days of Ronda Rousey coming into the UFC. Mixed martial arts and the female side of things has improved drastically. We're getting way more fighters that are coming in there and taking it more serious. But from the skill set standpoint, Lauren Murphy's not anywhere near where she needs to be at the top of the class, but she did a great job with that fight. Now, listen, Phil Hawes, that was just fire from the very beginning. So that was another one. We get into the next fight. We're like less than 30 seconds into the round. They're throwing, and he catches it, man. Like, it was crazy. Phil Hawes comes in there. He's bulked up, looks really good, and he's just throwing hands, man. And he catches him. And I thought it was just a fantastic striking bout, like super exciting. Again, though, I was like, man, the first 2 fights didn't go the distance. This one didn't even last 20 seconds. Crying out loud, what did I pay for? That's exactly what you want to pay for when you're a UFC fan, but at the same time, you're almost like, dang, did my money just go to waste? Like that, you start second-guessing yourself as a fan. I thought Hawes looked fantastic. We get to Volkov's fight. What an amazing example of a body shot. The kick to Harris's solar plexus, just, you could see it, and it was crazy just how fast it affected him. Those who have never been in a combat sport before, let me tell you something. I have a story for you. Getting shot in the body, or getting hit with a body shot, rather, is one of the worst things you can take. I would rather get busted up in the face, hit across the jaw, broken nose, anything, hard uppercuts, everything, than get hit with a clean shot to the body. Though there was one time in boxing where I'm sitting there in practice. My opponent's name was Jamar, and the coach says, Jamar, stop being a headhunter, because he was trying to take my head off, and I was able to at least move out of the way because I knew where he was going. He wasn't hitting me for the body, but that meant I wasn't covering anything on my body. My stance was completely not right, and he hits me with an uppercut to the solar plexus. Immediately, I was out. Like, I knew, I wasn't out, I didn't drop, but I didn't have any breath. It hurt so bad, I couldn't even think. It like shut off everything to my brain. I just covered up, ran back to the backside of the rope so I could put my back on the ropes, and he attacked me because I was out of breath. I couldn't breathe. So when I'm moving back and forth trying to like dodge his punches, and he's just attacking my body, attacking the head, and the more I was moving, the harder it was because I couldn't breathe because he knocked the wind out of me so fast. And then ultimately ended up winning that round. It was awful. So when you see Volkov's kick, just understand that Harris going down. We've seen a couple of these last week in the UFC as well, like the females getting hit to the stomach. These are brutal shots, and the kick, it might not even look like much. That kick probably And what sucks is, as the opponent, the one who receives the body shot, it is one of the most excruciating pains for a good, minute. The unfortunate thing is when the fight's over, you feel good. Like you're like, okay, I'm back, but that's all you got. You're done now, right? It's almost like getting choked out. You're like, dang it, dude, and then you're back. Um, but what happens with those body shots is the body shots crush you, and then you come back to the fight, and you feel good, but they've already called the fight because you got pummeled because you can't move for like a minute, and it sucks. It's super super frustrating. Because once you get your wind back and stuff, you're like, okay, I'm fine. But yeah, sometimes those will just drop you. Props to Volkov. It was he planned it out perfectly. Straight kick right up there, boom, and caught him in the perfect place because Harris wasn't defending it properly. Now we get to the co-main event between Whitaker and I just call him JC. Anyways, Whitaker goes out there, and I was so blown away by Whitaker's technical skills this fight. He was in and out, popping him, and I actually thought Jared was going to come out there and actually, control the fight. I thought he was going to come out there a little bit more aggressive. I thought he was going to land a couple more kicks than he did. Whitaker held his own. Now, granted, he was getting chopped, and I don't know if it's just Whitaker's body or whatever, but you could see every single red mark on his body every single time he got chopped, whether it was the back of his knee, if it was his chest, his stomach, whatever, his back. I mean, you could see everything, so it looked like he had like welts all over his body, but he was holding his own and popping, and you could see that Jared was having such a hard time coming in and making anything of that. It was super, super hard for him. He was just struggling immensely to be able to find his range. He was shy. He completely stiffened up. Whitaker was calm. He found his flow. You could see that he was like moving. Now, both of them caught each other with good shots. I thought Whitaker was actually going to end the fight after his 1-2 kick that he landed, his 1-2 and then his right kick to catch him. I thought he was going to end it, and I thought, man, that was it. But I mean, they both fought. They're very strong fighters, but Whitaker had this flow to him yesterday. And that's what I'm excited to see in this division is if Whitaker is improved, which it looks like he has since the Izzy fight. He's improved drastically since the Izzy fight. You can just see his flow, his IQ. That's what you do when you take a loss. You know how to win. So you go and you make those adjustments. Some fighters aren't able to make those adjustments. Some fighters that get knocked out get that, like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but once you get knocked out once, sometimes those fighters just fall apart. He was fine. He's made adjustments since then. You could totally tell Whitaker's ready for the moment. I'm excited to see Whitaker in the future bouts if he can get another title shot. Now we get to Khabib and Gaethje. Talk about a fight that I've been blown away with right here. Like, I could not be more surprised at Khabib's whole entire game plan here. He was the exact example of what you do to control the octagon with minimal movement. So efficient with his energy. He was pressuring you and taking the correct angles. If you look at the first round with Gaethje, he was frustrating Gaethje. Gaethje was throwing wild punches. He was throwing wild trying to catch him because he knew like there were some openings, but he was trying to throw wild to catch him. But Gaethje was circling the whole round. He was tired, man. Like, I mean, I'm sure he had a lot left in the tank, obviously, but he was already sweating and breathing hard after round one because he was circling so much. And all Khabib was doing was taking the angles and moving forward. It's the exact example of what you should be doing, right? Take the angles and cut him off. And then even when Gaethje was circling, Khabib started trying to hit him with those left hooks and trying to keep him in the middle right there. He was trying to cut him off with those left hooks, and he was being super efficient with his energy. Unbelievable, okay? Unbelievable. But what surprised me, and I guess this is just my I don't know why I'm still surprised by it, but Khabib's striking is so good. And that's what it throws everybody off. Khabib's striking is so good. And everyone was worried about his takedowns. Everyone's worried about his submissions because he can take you down. And once he gets you there, it's kind of hard to get him off you. So everyone worries about that. You know, Conor worried about it. Poirier worried about it. Gaethje's worried about it, his takedowns. But he can strike, guys. He's got power and precision with his striking, and he's good with his jab. He popped Gaethje's left, or he popped his eye. I think it was his right eye, if I'm not mistaken, and cut it, like, or at least popped it really good to where it was swelling just with a jab, because he countered him and hit him with a very, very well-timed punch. It was a hard jab, stiff, everything. You could tell, like, he was affecting him. That's what he did to Conor. He set up that overhand right with Conor. because everyone's worried about the takedown. But man, his striking is what impresses me. Habib's striking is unbelievable, and he did that. Granted, Gaethje was right when he was talking about the fight. He had him in trouble, and everyone was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like Gaethje was breathing hard, moving a ton, but Gaethje was chopping his leg, and every one of the kicks that Gaethje did land on Habib's leg was clean. Like it was a clean kick. You could see Habib's leg was kind of hurting, and I think that's exactly why Habib on that leg kick, the ultimate takedown that led to the choke out was after a leg kick. He took him down after the leg kick because he knew like he was getting chopped and it wouldn't have lasted a full 5 rounds. Like Habib wouldn't have been able to put pressure on that front leg. He would have had to switch to his other leg. Like he would have had to go to a southpaw stance if he wanted to. And so that would have changed the whole dynamic of the fight. So Gaethje was right. He was right there, even though some people that are watching it as fans are like, oh, he got destroyed. He had a game plan, but he got caught with a takedown. That's just that's the reality of the sport that you're watching. But he had a game plan. He was chopping his leg down. I thought that was actually a really good game plan, and he was close. I say if you could have made it through another little bit, like 2 or 3 minutes of that round, I don't know if Habib can stand on that leg properly coming into round 3. So Gaethje had a good game plan of chopping it down, but man, he was using a lot of energy to do so. And Habib just had the perfect game plan. I'm so impressed with his dominance. It was like, it's not just one of those wrestlers who comes in there and it's boring to watch. He can strike. He does exactly what a mixed martial artist should do, be able to be well-rounded, strike with you if he needs to strike with you and take you down, and he's strong. He looks like a little guy, but he's actually super, super strong. You can tell, like, he knows he's efficient with his energy and he's strong. It's super sad for the sport that he's going to retire. I understand why he's retiring. It's sad for the sport, but it's also a cool thing. It's a good way to go out. I think it's awesome. I think we'll have some great fighters in this division. I mean, this division's loaded right now, so it's going to be awesome to watch. I think Gaethje's going to be back on top. I love Gaethje's class at the end of it, the way he handled the loss, the way he paid his respects to Habib. I thought it was fantastic. 2 great fighters. I expected it to go a lot longer than that, or at least be a little bit more electric on the feet. I did not expect Habib to dominate the way that he did, or control it, I should say, the way that he did, and he did that. And I don't know why I'm surprised by that, but I am. I was late to the game with the Habib stuff. I didn't really watch a lot of his – I didn't follow him a ton when he first got into the UFC, so that's my own fault. But, man, that's just his dominance in this sport is unmatched. It's unbelievable. Just his ability, every single fight, you have to worry – it's mixed martial arts. You have to worry about his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, his striking, everything. He's got it all. And you can say that about John Jones. You could say, like, oh, he's a great striker and he can get you on the ground too. But, like, realistically, I haven't seen a fighter like Habib where they can do anything at an elite level, right? And they're not scared to do one thing or the other. It doesn't matter who you are, right? He wasn't scared to throw punches and trade hands with Conor, who was an elite striker. Wasn't scared to trade hands with Poirier. Wasn't scared to trade hands with Gaethje. But he'll ultimately pop you and chop you down, and then all of a sudden he's going to take you down to where his strength is, and that's his submissions. And it's unbelievable, man. It's not a boring one-sided wrestling match. It's not an elite striking just pound or blow for blow. It's a mixed martial artist, and that is why Habib is so good. Like, even Conor, he's exciting because he talks a lot and he kicks. But Conor's not going to sit there and go into the jiu-jitsu realm and try to submit you on the ground. No. He just kicks and he punches, and he's an elite striker. But, man, Habib's ability to not only strike, he can crush you on his up top game, and he can crush you on the bottom. Unbelievable. Great career by Habib Nurmagomedov. Loved watching him fight. I'm excited for the future of the division. I think Gaethje, I mean, if we got Conor and Poirier fighting, I mean, we got a lot coming up in this division. Like, if we really want to, if the UFC wants to run this, they've got a lot that they can promote here. And there are a lot of fighters that want to fight. Gaethje wants to fight. He loves to fight. He even said he's got 5 wars left in him. Gaethje's got 5 wars left in him. Okay. We either get Poirier and Conor going with Gaethje again. Like, dude, there's so much that can happen. Ferguson's still in here. We've got a lot that we can be doing in this division. Okay. I'm excited for the future of the division. Sad that Habib is retiring, obviously, but it's not the worst thing in the world when you've got elite, world-class fighters the rest of the way. Guys, if you happen to catch this, leave some comments below. Let me know what you think. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Game Time Guru podcast. That is my weekly show. I interview sports figures from all over the world, people in the sports industry, and get their insight on lots of stuff. So every single Friday, we're coming to you with a new episode. You can catch my podcast on any platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, YouTube, right here. It doesn't matter. Catch it, subscribe to it. Let me know what you think. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts if you like it. But, guys, we'll be doing more recaps for Ohio State football as well as for the UFC throughout the year. We enjoy doing this and interacting with the fans. So if you want to jump in, leave your comments. Let me know. I always love talking to people like you guys. Take care.